but it's just the rare time that I think an ego got in the way for Belal Muhammad, the way we have seen it happen for other UFC fighters who are not as good as Belal, to allow him to hang around for 5 rounds.
All that was very well said, and a lot of people share those sentiments but weren't able to articulate it quite like that. And part of the reason I brought up Brendan Schaub is because he is sort of taken the other side, saying that it's not a case of Belal not shooting takedowns, given sort of the credit to JDM, which I think is interesting. But as we spin this forward, and I know that there are a lot of variables and there were a lot of moving parts with the welterweight division and the lightweight division with this result, but I'm going to talk about my friend Belal Muhammad. I can't wait to see Belal perform again. And there are certainly situations where a champion in this spot, a 5-round war fight of the night, would have earned themselves an immediate rematch. I'm not so worried about that. I'm looking forward to watching Belal compete again. However many fights he needs to win again to put himself back in this championship opportunity, so be it. But I've said this over and over, and I believe this in my core. Belal's exactly 10 years older than me. I'm going to be younger than me. I'm going to be 47 in July. He's going to be 37. That number with Belal means less to me than the number 37 would mean to a lot of people, right? Started training MMA at 23. Started lifting a little bit later in his life. I believe his window of his prime is by no means closed, right? The staph infection at the end of last year, did that put a different ceiling on his cardiovascular base long term? I don't know. I don't know how he felt physically. I think I'm going to learn a lot because Belal certainly keeps things close to the vest as the fight plays out, or excuse me, as the fight gets closer. But I really believe that he will be back. And ultimately, I think he's going to be very difficult to beat in his next fight, no matter who that is. And if Belal Muhammad wins his next fight, I think there's a great chance that he's either in the title eliminator. A lot of people think JDM is going to keep this belt for a while. Well, if he does, I think Belal Muhammad will be heard from. I really do.
Yeah, I'm one of those who does not think JDM will hold on to it very long. That's just me. But let me ask you this. Do you think Belal gets back into the octagon before the end of the year? I know the lip cut was pretty bad. There's some things, going on in his life. Is this maybe an early 2025 or 26 fight, maybe, in your opinion?
Well, I'll know more, obviously, when I talk to him. The broken orbital may be the biggest concern, maybe even perhaps more than the lip. Shout out Cody there. Yeah, Cody says entirely dependent on the orbital healing, usually 6 months out of the gym. Okay, so there may be your answer right there.
And if it's 6 months, but if it's 6 months out of the gym and he's doing other stuff, then that means at that 6-month mark, he can finally get back around to striking again. So I wonder if this is 8 months before we see Belal.
Well, so it says it's like 4 months, no contact. And so I guess the bottom, Cody said, I think December. That's what I was going to say. But Cody, if you're saying, and I quote, entirely depend on the orbital healing, usually 6 months out of the gym, then I don't want it to be December. And I would tell him, as now I'm starting to say, as his friend, Belal, let's start looking at 2026. Shavkat's returning in 2026. Maybe you do that fight. But either way, I have so much respect for Belal Muhammad, and I got to spend some time with him during the week.